France, the land of love, art, and timeless beauty, hides a secret beneath its elegant surface. Behind the candlelit cafes and the soft glow of Parisian nights lies a country haunted by echoes of its violent past. The whispers of war, betrayal, and tragedy linger in the air, trapped between the stones of its castles and the narrow streets of forgotten towns. When daylight fades, the charm turns to chill, and those same cobblestones that once carried royalty and revolutionaries begin to tremble under unseen footsteps. Across the countryside stand grand chateaux, where nobles met their doom, monasteries, where monks still pray long after death, and lonely roads where travelers vanish into the mist. Some speak of cold hands brushing against their skin, others of voices that call their names from empty rooms. Doors open by themselves, candles flicker, though there is no wind, and mirrors reflect faces that do not belong to the living. In Paris, beneath the romantic glow of the Eiffel Tower, the catacombs stretch endlessly below the city, holding the bones of more than 6 million souls. In Normandy, ruined manors watch over fields where soldiers once screamed and fell. And deep in the forests of Lorraine, forgotten villages are said to echo with laughter that does not fade with time. These are not mere legends told to frighten children. They are stories whispered by locals who refuse to walk certain paths at night. They are accounts from travelers who swore they saw figures staring through the windows of abandoned homes. They are tales of cold breath in the dark, of eyes glowing faintly at the end of candlelit corridors. Welcome to the top 15 terrifying haunted places in France, where beauty meets terror and the past refuses to stay buried. Haunted place number 1, Château de Brissac, Maine-et-Loire. Rising tall and regal above the countryside, the Château de Brissac looks every bit like a fairy tale castle. But behind its golden stone walls, darkness breathes in every corner. Known as the tallest castle in France, it hides one of the nation's most tragic and terrifying ghost stories. The locals call her La Dame Verte, the Green Lady. Centuries ago, she was Charlotte de Brissac, the illegitimate daughter of King Charles VII. She was said to have been murdered within these walls after being caught in a forbidden affair. Since that night, her restless spirit has never left. Visitors report seeing her wandering the castle in a long green dress, her face pale, her eyes hollow, her presence surrounded by an unbearable sorrow. Some say her face appears disfigured, as though frozen in the moment of death, her mouth twisted as if still trying to scream. Others have claimed to wake in the night to the sound of her wailing echoing through the halls, or the faint creak of floorboards just outside their door. Even the current residents, descendants of the original family, admit the castle holds something they cannot explain. They speak of sudden cold, drafts sweeping through sealed rooms, chandeliers trembling with no wind, and a heavy sense of grief pressing on the chest as you walk the corridors after sunset. The Green Lady is said to appear most often in the tower room where she was killed, her translucent form drifting past mirrors that refuse to show her reflection. Some guests have tried to speak to her, whispering her name into the silence, only to feel a cold breath against their ear. Others have fled in panic, convinced that unseen eyes were following them up the grand staircase. It is said that if you stay overnight, you will hear her moaning through the walls, her voice rising and falling like a song of eternal torment. The beauty of Château de Brissac cannot hide its sorrow. Beneath its glittering chandeliers and tapestries of gold lies a haunting that refuses to fade. The living and the dead coexist here, bound by the tragic tale of love and betrayal, that turned this castle of dreams into one of the most haunted places in all of France. So, if you ever visit this grand estate, take care when you wander its halls after dark. You might hear the rustle of a silk gown, the whisper of a breath on your neck, or the soft cry of a woman forever trapped between this world and the next. Number 2. The Catacombs of Paris, Paris. Beneath the romantic streets of Paris, far below the sound of footsteps and laughter, lies a world of eternal silence. The catacombs of Paris stretch for miles under the city, a dark labyrinth holding the remains of more than 6 million souls. What began as an effort to solve the problem of overflowing cemeteries in the 18th century became one of the most chilling places on Earth. Descending into the catacombs feels like crossing into another realm. The air grows cold, damp, and heavy, carrying the scent of earth and decay. The walls are lined with skulls and bones, stacked neatly in endless patterns, their empty eyes staring back at you as if watching every move. It is said that once you go deep enough, you begin to feel the weight of the dead pressing in from all sides. Locals whisper that the catacombs are alive with spirits who never found rest. Visitors have heard voices echoing from unseen tunnels, the sound of footsteps following close behind, and even the faint murmur of prayers whispered in Latin. Cameras fail, flashlights flicker, and sudden drops in temperature freeze the air. Many who enter report feeling as if something invisible walks beside them, brushing past their shoulders in the darkness. There are also tales of explorers who wandered too far and never returned. In 1990, a video camera was found deep in the catacombs. Its footage showed a man panicking as he lost his way, running through narrow tunnels before the light cut out. To this day, no one knows what happened to him. Guides claim that every year, a few foolish souls try to venture into the off-limits sections, only to vanish without a trace. The catacombs are more than just a burial ground. They are a graveyard of forgotten stories, of plague victims, revolutionaries, and countless Parisians whose lives ended in sorrow. Some say that when you whisper in the catacombs, the walls whisper back. Others claim to feel hands tugging at their clothes or hear soft crying coming from behind the bone walls. No matter how brave you are, the silence in the catacombs is unnatural. It is not the silence of emptiness, but the silence of being watched by millions who can no longer speak. Those who leave often say they feel something clinging to them for days afterward, as if a part of that underworld followed them home. So, if you ever dare to walk beneath the city of light, remember this: Paris shines bright above, but below, it belongs to the dead. Once you enter the catacombs, you are walking among them, and they never forget a visitor who disturbs their eternal rest. Number 3. Château de Chateaubriand, Brittany. In the quiet town of Chateaubriand, Brittany, stands a castle that looks peaceful beneath the sun, its towers reaching toward the sky, its stone walls glowing gold in the light. But when night falls, the air around the Château de Chateaubriand turns heavy, and an ancient sorrow stirs once more. Locals close their shutters, dogs grow restless, and the faint sound of a woman's cry floats through the darkness. For centuries, this grand chateau has been home to one of France's most tragic and terrifying hauntings, the ghost of Françoise de Foix. Françoise was the beautiful wife of Jean de Laval, the Lord of Chateaubriand. She also happened to be the mistress of King Francis I of France. For years, she lived a dangerous double life, torn between royal luxury and the jealousy of her husband. When the king's affection for her began to fade, her husband's bitterness grew darker. The walls of the chateau, thick with secrets, would soon witness a murder that would stain its history forever. According to the legend, Jean de Laval could no longer bear the shame of being betrayed. He locked his wife in her room and slowly poisoned her, keeping her isolated until death took her. Some say she screamed for mercy, her cries echoing through the corridors. Others claim she died silently, her heart broken, her spirit already slipping away. Whatever the truth, her death marked the beginning of a haunting that would never end. Each year, on the anniversary of her death, October 16th, her ghost is said to rise again. As the clock strikes midnight, the castle fills with a chill so deep it seeps into the bones. Witnesses describe the sound of slow footsteps coming from the spiral staircase, followed by the rustle of silk. Then, through the gloom, a shimmering figure appears, a tall woman dressed in white, her face pale and sorrowful, her hands clutching her chest as if still feeling the poison burn within. The guards who have seen her say she moves gracefully through the corridors, her gown glowing faintly as she drifts toward her old chamber. She stops by the door, touches the wall, and then vanishes into the stone itself. For centuries, her apparition has been reported by castle staff, visitors, and even historians who came to study the site. Every October, the same chilling pattern repeats, as if she relives her death over and over, forever bound to the place of her suffering. Many strange things happen in the Château de Chateaubriand, beyond the appearance of the ghost herself. Paintings fall from walls without reason, candles extinguish themselves, and whispers float through empty halls. The scent of old perfume lingers in rooms that have been locked for decades, and sometimes a faint sob echoes through the courtyard at night. Some visitors have reported feeling hands brushing against their skin or a soft voice calling their name when no one is there. During restoration work in the 20th century, workers claimed to hear faint music drifting through the halls, like a forgotten court ball being played in another time. They said they could hear laughter, the swish of gowns, and the clinking of goblets, a haunting echo of the castle's glamorous past. But whenever they stepped closer, the sounds vanished, leaving only cold silence. Locals in Brittany still tell stories about the castle after dark. They say the ghost of Françoise does not wander alone. Some believe her husband's spirit is also trapped within the chateau, forever haunted by the guilt of what he did. On stormy nights, visitors have heard angry voices arguing from the tower, as if husband and wife still fight across the centuries. Others claim to have seen two ghostly figures facing each other in the moonlight, the woman in white and a man in dark robes, staring at one another before fading away. The Château de Chateaubriand has become a symbol of beauty and sorrow, a place where love and cruelty collided. Tourists visit in the daytime, admiring its architecture and elegant gardens, unaware that beneath the beauty lies centuries of torment. But when the sun sets and the shadows creep up the walls, the castle transforms. It becomes a place of whispers, of faint cries, of memories that refuse to die. Some say that Françoise's spirit lingers, not out of vengeance, but out of heartbreak. Her soul may still wait for the love that betrayed her, or perhaps for forgiveness that never came. A few brave souls have tried to spend the night inside her chamber, hoping to witness her ghost. Most of them do not last until dawn. They describe the sound of breathing in the darkness, the rustle of fabric, and the faint reflection of a woman standing beside their bed, her eyes filled with endless sadness. Those who live near the chateau know better than to look up at its windows after midnight. Sometimes, they say, You can see her silhouette framed by candlelight, staring out into the night as if waiting for someone who will never return. And as the wind sweeps through the courtyard, it carries with it a single word whispered over and over again: her name. Château de Chateaubriand is more than just a relic of French history. It is a monument to love's cruelty, to jealousy, and to the way death can fail to silence a heart that still aches. For more than 500 years, Françoise de Foix has walked these halls, her story etched into every stone. Her ghost is a reminder that even in the most beautiful places, darkness lingers just beneath the surface. So if you ever find yourself in Brittany and you stand before the Château de Chateaubriand, take a moment to listen. The air will seem still, but somewhere in that silence, she is there. The lady in white, forever trapped between life and death, searching for peace in a castle that will never let her rest. Number 4. Mont Saint-Michel, Normandy. Rising from the misty waters of Normandy, Mont Saint-Michel looks like something from a dream. Its spires pierce the sky, its walls shimmer under the moonlight, and at high tide, it seems to float upon the sea. But behind its beauty lies something far darker. The tides that surround it hide secrets of blood, death, and restless spirits that have haunted this island for centuries. Mont Saint-Michel began as a sacred place, a monastery built to honor the Archangel Michael. Monks came here seeking peace and solitude, but what they found was isolation and despair. The sea surrounded them, cutting them off from the world. Storms raged, waves crashed against the rocks, and many who tried to reach the island never returned. The tides are unpredictable, and it is said that they move as fast as a galloping horse, swallowing anyone who dares to cross at the wrong moment. Over the centuries, Mont Saint-Michel became more than just a monastery. It became a prison, a fortress, and a place of punishment. During the French Revolution, prisoners were locked within its cold stone walls, left to die in darkness and misery. Their cries echoed through the corridors, and their despair soaked into the stones. Locals still say that if you walk through the halls at night, you can hear chains clinking, footsteps following you, and the faint sound of weeping coming from behind locked doors. The monks who once lived there believed the island was touched by divine power, but others whispered that darker forces also claimed it. Many said that the tides around Mont Saint-Michel were cursed, controlled by spirits who dragged the souls of the damned beneath the water. Sailors feared the place, calling it a gateway between life and death. When fog rolls in from the sea, the island seems to disappear, as if slipping into another world entirely. Visitors today describe strange sensations when walking through the abbey. They feel sudden chills, hear whispers that seem to come from nowhere, and sense eyes watching them from the shadows. In the chapel, where monks once prayed for salvation, some people claim to see ghostly figures kneeling in silence. Their robes flutter in a wind that does not exist, and when you step closer, they vanish. One of the most disturbing legends tells of a monk named Bernard, who was punished for questioning the church's power. He was locked in a cell deep beneath the abbey, forgotten for years. When his bones were finally found, strange symbols were carved into the walls, spiraling shapes that no one could explain. Since then, visitors who pass that cell say they hear scratching sounds and a voice whispering prayers that twist into screams. Another tale speaks of the drowned souls who haunt the sands around the island. The tides here are treacherous, and many travelers have been caught between sea and shore, sinking into the mud as the water rushed in. Their bodies were never found, but at low tide, Some say you can see shapes moving just beneath the surface. Others claim to hear the faint sound of voices calling for help, even when the beach is empty. The townspeople who live near Mont Saint-Michel have learned to respect the island's moods. They say the sea around it changes color when something terrible is about to happen, turning a strange silver gray before storms or tragedies. At night, lights sometimes flicker in the abbey's highest tower, long after it has closed to the public. Some believe it is the spirit of an old monk keeping watch, while others think it is something far older and darker that refuses to leave. Even those who come as tourists often leave uneasy. Guides tell stories of visitors who take photographs only to find ghostly figures standing beside them. Some return home and dream of the island for weeks afterward, waking in the night to the sound of waves and distant bells. A few claim to have felt a cold hand on their shoulder as they stood on the ancient steps leading to the abbey. Mont Saint-Michel stands as both a marvel and a mystery. It is a place where heaven and hell seem to meet, where the divine and the damned walk side by side. The monks who built it believed they were creating a gateway to God, but it may also be a doorway for lost souls who can never rest. The island's beauty hides centuries of pain, betrayal, and death, all swallowed by the relentless sea. When the tide rises, the road to Mont Saint-Michel disappears beneath the water. The island becomes an isolated world of stone and silence. If you ever find yourself there, when the sun sets and the fog rolls in, listen carefully. You may hear the chant of long-dead monks carried by the wind, or the soft cry of a prisoner still begging for release. The sea will shimmer, the air will grow colder, and for a moment, you will feel the weight of every soul that ever passed through those walls. Mont Saint-Michel is not just haunted by ghosts of the past. It is haunted by the sea itself, by the restless energy that surrounds it, by the timeless pull of something beyond human understanding. It is a reminder that beauty often hides darkness, that even holy places can be filled with sorrow, and that some spirits never stop wandering. So, if you visit this legendary island, remember to watch the tides, keep to the path, and never stay too long after dark. Because once the waters rise and the mist closes in, the living and the dead walk together, and Mont Saint-Michel belongs to the ghosts once more. Number 5. Château de Versailles, Île-de-France. The Château de Versailles stands as one of the most magnificent palaces ever built, a symbol of royal power, wealth, and elegance. But beneath its golden ceilings and marble halls lies something far more chilling. Behind the glittering chandeliers and endless mirrors, Versailles is haunted by centuries of betrayal, sorrow, and death. The ghosts of kings, queens, and servants are said to still wander its corridors, their whispers echoing through the grand chambers, long after their tragic ends. Versailles began as the dream of King Louis XIV, the Sun King, who wanted a palace that would reflect his glory. He filled it with beauty, art, and music, but he also filled it with secrets. Thousands of people lived and worked inside these walls, from nobles dressed in silk to servants who toiled unseen. The palace became a world of its own, one of luxury, jealousy, and dark intrigue. And when such power and desire mix, the echoes of tragedy are never far away. Many say that Versailles is haunted by the restless spirit of Queen Marie Antoinette. Once the most glamorous woman in France, she met a cruel fate during the French Revolution. Locals believe she still roams the gardens she loved so much, appearing in a white gown with tears in her eyes. In one of the palace's most famous legends, Two women visiting the grounds in 1901 claimed to have suddenly stepped back in time. They saw courtiers in 18th century dress, heard distant music, and even encountered a woman sketching near the Petit Trianon, who later matched descriptions of Marie Antoinette herself. When they turned away and looked back, everything had vanished. Some historians dismissed the story as fantasy, but many visitors since have reported strange sensations near the Petit Trianon. They feel a sudden stillness, as if time has stopped, or catch glimpses of figures dressed in old-fashioned clothes, walking down the paths before fading into thin air. Others say they hear faint laughter and the soft rustle of silk gowns drifting through the hedges. The Hall of Mirrors, one of the most beautiful rooms in the world, also carries its own unease. The mirrors reflect not just faces, but sometimes shadows that do not belong. Visitors have described seeing figures in period dress gliding silently behind them, only to turn and find no one there. Late at night, guards claim to hear footsteps echoing through the hall, the sound of heels clicking on marble as if ghosts are attending an eternal royal ball. Some rooms of Versailles were the scenes of death and despair. King Louis XIV himself died within these walls after a painful illness, and his groans were said to fill the corridors for days. Servants spoke of cold drafts and flickering candles whenever the king's chamber door was opened. Even after his passing, people claimed to hear faint breathing or a soft cough in the empty room, as though the king never truly left his beloved palace. The ghosts of the Revolution are said to haunt Versailles as well. When the angry mob stormed the palace in 1789, screams and gunfire filled the air. Many who served the royal family were slaughtered on the spot. Today, late-night visitors say the air feels heavy near the Queen's bedchamber. Some have heard muffled cries or the sound of footsteps running, as though the past still replays itself again and again. The gardens of Versailles, though breathtaking, also carry whispers of sorrow. The fountains, once symbols of beauty, seem to sing with sadness when the wind passes over them at dusk. Groundskeepers have reported seeing glowing orbs floating above the hedges, or strange shadows moving among the statues when no one is there. It is said that the restless spirits of courtiers and servants walk the same paths they once did, trapped in a world that no longer exists. In the king's private apartments, visitors often feel a sudden drop in temperature. Some even report hearing faint music, as if the sounds of old court life still echo through the walls. Harpsichords play softly, laughter rises and fades, and a scent of old perfume fills the air. It is as though the ghosts of Versailles are reliving their last moments of splendor before the world outside crumbled into chaos. The Grand Palace remains a masterpiece of architecture and art, but to those who are sensitive to the unseen, it is something more. It is a place frozen in time, where joy and tragedy coexist. The very air feels alive with memory. When you walk through its gilded corridors, you are never truly alone. People say that at night, the palace changes. The lights flicker and shadows move across the walls as if the royal court has returned. Some have even claimed to see Marie Antoinette standing on a balcony, her pale face turned toward the moon, silently weeping for her lost kingdom. Guards who patrol the grounds after dark refuse to stay near the Queen's apartments for long, saying they feel watched, followed, or even touched by unseen hands. Versailles is more than a monument to beauty. It is a living echo of the past, a stage where history's ghosts still perform their endless play. Every stone remembers laughter, betrayal, love, and fear. And perhaps every visitor who walks its halls becomes part of that haunting story, carrying with them the weight of all who came before. So if you ever stand in the glittering Hall of Mirrors or walk the quiet gardens of the Petit Trianon, listen closely. The past may speak to you in the softest whisper, a sigh in the air, a flicker of candlelight, or the echo of footsteps that are not your own. Versailles is not just a palace. It is a portal, a place where beauty and death dance together forever, where the spirits of the lost refuse to fade, and where history itself refuses to rest. Number 6. Château de Brissac, Brittany. Hidden deep within the misty forests of Brittany stands the Château de Brissac, a brooding medieval fortress shrouded in mystery and drenched in legend. Its gray stone towers rise above a dark moat that reflects the passing clouds like liquid shadow. Locals whisper that this castle is not just haunted, but cursed, for every stone seems to hold a secret soaked in sorrow and betrayal. The Château de Brissac dates back to the 15th century, and like many old castles, its history is filled with battles, nobility, and tragedy. But none of those stories compare to the legend that gave it the name, the Haunted Bride. They say that one stormy night, many centuries ago, a carriage arrived at the castle gates, carrying a beautiful young woman dressed in a bridal gown. Her face was pale, her veil shimmering like mist, but she never made it to the altar. The story goes that her brothers, enraged by a forbidden marriage, buried her alive beneath the castle's stone walls to preserve their family's honor. The servants who discovered her too late could only hear the faint scratching from beneath the dirt before the sound went silent forever. Since then, many visitors claim that on stormy nights, when the wind sweeps through the forest, they see her ghostly figure rising from the earth in her wedding dress, drifting across the courtyard as if searching for the man she never married. Her veil floats behind her like a wisp of smoke, her face hidden, but her sorrow unmistakable. Travelers who pass near the castle after sunset speak of hearing the sound of sobbing carried through the air, or of seeing a pale hand pressed against a high window before vanishing. Some say that if you stand by the moat at midnight, you can hear soft whispers beneath the water, as though the drowned memories of the past still call out to the living. The castle itself seems to breathe with its own energy. Its cold stone corridors echo with footsteps that do not belong to the living. Doors creak open by themselves, and candles flicker out as if blown by invisible breath. Guests who have spent the night there tell of dreams filled with the sound of bells, the rustle of silk, and the smell of wet earth. When they wake, the air feels heavy, and sometimes they find damp footprints leading to their door. But the bride is not the only spirit said to linger at Brissac. Another legend speaks of a card-playing ghost. Centuries ago, a traveler was invited inside to play cards with the lord of the castle and his companions. They played for hours, but when dawn came, the traveler realized he had been playing not with men, but with shadows. Their faces faded, their voices turned hollow, and as the first light of morning entered the hall, they disappeared completely, leaving the cards scattered across the table like ashes. Those who visit the castle today sometimes find themselves drawn to that same chamber, only to feel an icy hand brush their shoulder or hear faint laughter from the corner of the room. Some even claim to see ghostly figures seated at an invisible table, frozen mid-game, forever trapped between life and death. The forest around Brissac is no less haunted. At dusk, a fog rolls in thick and silent, muffling every sound. Locals refuse to walk near the castle after dark, saying that strange lights float between the trees and that the voice of the lost bride sometimes calls out from the shadows, begging for help. Her cry is described as heartbreak itself, so full of pain that anyone who hears it feels their blood run cold. Even those who do not believe in ghosts admit that there is something unnatural about the place. Birds go quiet when they fly near the towers. The water in the moat never seems to freeze, even in winter, and visitors often leave with a sense that they have been watched the entire time. The castle has become a symbol of eternal sorrow, where time itself feels trapped within the walls. The most terrifying stories come from those who dared to spend the night inside. One man, a historian, claimed that as he lay in bed, he woke to the sound of slow footsteps approaching his door. When he called out, there was no answer, only a soft, dragging sound, as if a dress brushed across the floor. The next morning, he found muddy prints at the foot of his bed, shaped like the steps of someone walking barefoot through wet soil. There are many castles in France filled with grandeur and history, but the Château de Brissac feels alive in a different way. It is a place where grief still lingers, where love and loss are forever intertwined. The past does not rest here. It breathes, it moves, and it remembers. The ghost of the bride still roams the halls, trapped between the world of the living and the dead, her story whispered by every gust of wind that touches the ancient stones. If you ever visit Brittany and you find yourself near the forest of Paimpont, think carefully before stepping too close to the castle. The beauty of the Château de Brissac is undeniable, but beauty often hides the deepest sorrow. And once you hear the sound of a woman weeping softly by the moat, you may realize that she is not just a story. She is still there, waiting, searching, and mourning in silence for a love that never came. Some say she appears to those who have lost someone dear, drawn to their grief like a mirror of her own. Others believe that anyone who gazes too long into the dark waters of the moat will see her reflection beside their own. One look into her eyes, they say, and you will never forget them. The Château de Brissac does not simply tell a ghost story. It feels like one. Every creak of its timbers, every ripple on the moat, every whisper of wind through its courtyard reminds you that love, when denied, can outlast even death. And when the night falls and the mist begins to rise, perhaps you too will understand why no one truly leaves Brissac unchanged. Number 7. Père Lachaise Cemetery, Paris. Père Lachaise Cemetery is not just a resting place, it is a city of the dead. Stretching across rolling hills and cobbled pathways in the heart of Paris, it holds over 1 million graves, mausoleums, and crypts that whisper stories of love, loss, and eternal unrest. It is beautiful by day, but when darkness falls, the air thickens and the silence begins to hum with unseen life. Visitors often say the cemetery feels alive, as though the souls buried there never truly left. Created in the early 19th century, Père Lachaise quickly became one of the most famous cemeteries in the world. It is the final home of many great names, from Oscar Wilde to Jim Morrison, Edith Piaf, and Chopin. Tourists wander its winding paths in daylight, taking photos of ornate tombs and angel statues. Yet when the gates close and the sun disappears behind the trees, a different side of Père Lachaise awakens. Night guards and brave explorers have spoken of strange figures drifting between the graves, their outlines fading in and out like mist. Some have seen the ghost of a woman dressed in black, her veil fluttering as she walks slowly through the rows of tombstones, her face pale and sad. Others hear footsteps behind them on gravel paths, only to turn and find no one there. It is as if the dead walk the same routes they did in life, bound forever to the place where their names are carved in stone. The air in Père Lachaise carries an unmistakable heaviness. It smells of moss, earth, and age. Even birds rarely sing there after dusk. One of the most famous tales tells of a ghostly shadow that lingers near Jim Morrison's grave. Many fans visit his tomb to pay respect, but some have captured what looks like a smoky outline of a man leaning against the wall, watching them. When approached, the figure vanishes into thin air, leaving only the faint smell of cigarettes and a chill in the air. Then, there is the story of the weeping statue. Near one of the oldest sections of the cemetery stands a marble angel said to shed tears on certain nights. Those who have witnessed it claim the statue's face becomes almost human, her expression full of sorrow as tears roll down her cheeks. Scientists and skeptics have tried to explain it as condensation, but locals know better. They say the angel weeps for all the forgotten souls buried there, those whose graves are unmarked or whose names have long faded from memory. Père Lachaise also hides narrow tunnels beneath its surface, remnants of old burial chambers and catacombs. Those who have explored them speak of whispers echoing through the stone corridors, voices calling their names, and sudden bursts of icy air. One explorer claimed that as he turned a corner, he saw an old man sitting quietly on a broken tomb, humming softly to himself. When the explorer blinked, the man was gone, but the humming continued until he fled the tunnel in fear. The cemetery is filled with energy, both beautiful and unsettling. The flicker of candlelight from memorials dances across the marble faces of angels and saints, making them appear to move. The trees, ancient and twisted, cast long shadows that seem to stretch toward you as you walk. There is an undeniable sense that the living are guests here, tolerated but not welcomed for long. Some believe that the spirits of Père Lachaise are restless because of how often their peace is disturbed. With thousands of visitors every year, some disrespectful, the dead have grown weary. Paranormal investigators who have entered the cemetery after hours report hearing their equipment go silent, as if the spirits drain the energy from their devices. One group even captured what they described as faint music drifting from nowhere, a melody that sounded like an old Parisian waltz. Oscar Wilde's grave is another source of eerie fascination. His tomb, decorated with a striking stone angel, has long been a gathering place for admirers. Yet those who linger too long sometimes report hearing whispers in English, soft and mocking, echoing from the air around them. A few have even said that the angel's wings seem to shimmer faintly under moonlight, as though it were watching. There is also a legend about a tomb that refuses to stay closed. In one section of the cemetery, a heavy iron door leading to a family crypt has been found open on several occasions, though it is locked each time. The caretakers re-secure it, yet somehow it opens again by morning. Some say the spirit of the man, buried inside, was wronged in life and still seeks justice, pushing open the door to remind the living that he has not found peace. Père Lachaise is a place of contrasts. It is breathtaking in beauty but thick with sorrow. It is silent, yet filled with whispers. It welcomes visitors, yet warns them to tread carefully. Every statue, every cross, every crumbling gravestone seems to hold a secret. And for those who dare to wander alone after sunset, the cemetery becomes something else entirely, something ancient and aware. They say that if you walk through Père Lachaise under a full moon and pause between the graves, you will feel the presence of someone standing just behind you. Do not turn around. The spirits, they say, do not like to be seen, but they do like to follow. Some who ignored this warning claim they left the cemetery, but could still hear footsteps echoing behind them for days afterward. Père Lachaise is not merely haunted because of the souls that rest there. It is haunted because of what it represents. It is the border between life and death, a place where memory refuses to fade and where grief takes on a voice of its own. It reminds us that even in death, the human spirit can remain, wandering, waiting, whispering through the centuries. If you ever visit Paris and decide to explore Père Lachaise, go with respect and a steady heart. Listen carefully as you walk. That chill down your spine might not just be the wind, it might be the touch of a soul that has been waiting far too long to be remembered. Number 8. Château de Camargue, Dordogne. Hidden in the dense forests of Dordogne, the Château de Camargue rises like a shadow among the trees. Its crumbling stone walls and narrow towers tell of centuries of battles, sieges, and the lives of lords and peasants alike. By day, it is a picturesque ruin, a glimpse into medieval France. But when darkness falls, the chateau seems to awaken, its stones whispering stories of blood, betrayal, and restless spirits that have refused to leave for centuries. The origins of Camargue stretch back to the Middle Ages. It was a fortress, a refuge during turbulent times, and a home to powerful lords who ruled over the surrounding lands with strict authority. Yet for every lord who lived in comfort, there were countless others who suffered, servants who labored endlessly, and prisoners locked away in dark dungeons. It is said that the anguish of those trapped within these walls never fully faded, lingering in the shadows long after the castle was abandoned. Locals tell tales of ghostly knights who patrol the ruins at night. Dressed in armor that glints faintly under the moonlight, they move silently along the battlements as though guarding secrets long buried. Visitors who have dared to explore the chateau after sunset speak of cold drafts that seem to follow them through the halls, whispers in the darkness, and the occasional sound of clanging steel as if swords are still drawn in defense of the fortress. One of the most haunting stories involves a young lord's daughter. She was betrothed against her will and, desperate to escape, ran into the surrounding forest. She was never seen again. Some say her spirit returned to the castle, wandering the ruins in search of freedom, her pale figure glimpsed through the broken windows or among the trees. Those who claim to have seen her describe a sense of sadness so profound that it seems to hang in the air, pressing against the chest of anyone who draws near. The chateau's dungeons hold their own dark history. Prisoners were confined there for crimes real or imagined, and the damp, cold stone walls became their tombs. Many visitors have reported a sense of being watched when standing near the underground chambers, accompanied by unexplained whispers or the faint sound of dragging chains. Paranormal investigators who have ventured below claim that temperatures drop suddenly and that recording devices often fail without explanation. The forest surrounding Camargue is equally eerie. Mist clings to the ground in the early morning, obscuring paths and making it easy to become disoriented. Those who wander too close to the ruins after dark speak of shadowy figures moving between the trees and glowing eyes watching silently from the undergrowth. Some locals avoid the area entirely, warning that the spirits of the past do not like intruders and will make their presence known in ways that cannot be explained. Even the wildlife seems to behave strangely near the chateau. Birds fall silent as night approaches, and the wind carries voices that sound almost human. Travelers have reported hearing footsteps behind them in the forest, only to turn and find nothing. Some have even seen the fleeting outline of a horse and rider appearing briefly along the old battlements, disappearing as if swallowed by the night itself. The ruins themselves hold evidence of centuries-old violence. Arrow slits, collapsed walls, and hidden chambers hint at battles fought within and around the castle. It is easy to imagine the fear of those who lived here, the anger and despair that must have saturated the very stones. Visitors claim that sometimes, when walking through the main hall, they feel the weight of history pressing down on them, and the sound of phantom voices rises from the earth, carrying warnings or perhaps curses from a time long forgotten. Local legend tells of a hidden treasure buried somewhere within Camargue, but those who have tried to find it claim to have been driven away by more than the threat of danger. They speak of strange lights appearing in the windows at night, sudden gusts of wind that push them backward, and whispers that seem to say, "Leave or join us forever." It is as if the chateau itself protects its secrets and ensures that only the living fear what lies within. Château de Camargue is not just a haunted ruin. It is a living memory of centuries of human suffering, ambition, and sorrow. Every stone, every arch, and every broken wall carries the weight of lives that were lived and lost within its embrace. Those who venture near may feel the brush of a cold hand, hear a soft sigh, or glimpse a figure moving where no one should be. It is a place where the past is never truly past, where echoes of the dead continue to roam, and where the living are reminded of the thin line between life and death. Visitors often leave Camargue with a sense of awe mixed with unease. Its beauty is undeniable, but the air is heavy with history and loss. At night, the forest seems darker, the wind seems colder, and the shadows longer. If you find yourself standing among its ruins as the sun sets, listen carefully. You may hear whispers carried on the breeze, footsteps on stone, or the soft rustle of a ghostly gown through the halls. Camargue may be silent, but it is never truly empty. The Château de Camargue remains one of France's most haunting medieval sites. It is a place where history, legend, and the supernatural intertwine, leaving a chilling impression on all who come near. The spirits of knights, servants, and the tragic bride still linger, unwilling to leave the world they once inhabited. And for those brave enough to explore its grounds, the feeling remains long after they depart, that the chateau watches, waits, and remembers its restless ghosts as eternal as the stones themselves. Number 9. Château de Fougeray, Co. Hidden deep in the forests of the Vienne region, Château de Fougeray is a place that both fascinates and terrifies. Its stone towers rise above the dense trees like silent sentinels, guarding centuries of secrets, tragedies, and legends that refuse to fade. By day, the chateau appears as a charming, historic estate. But as the sun dips behind the hills and shadows stretch across the grounds, its sinister nature begins to reveal itself. Fougeray has a long history, dating back to the medieval era. Over the centuries, it has been home to noble families, caretakers, and countless servants who lived and worked within its walls. Some of these stories were full of joy, but many were marked by misfortune, betrayal, and untimely deaths. Locals whisper that the chateau has absorbed these emotions and that the spirits of the past continue to roam its halls, refusing to leave the place where they once lived. The chateau gained national attention, not for its history, but for its hauntings. Visitors report strange lights flickering in empty rooms, cold drafts that follow them from hall to hall, and doors opening or closing on their own. Some even claim to have seen shadowy figures gliding across the floors or along the staircases. It is said that if you listen closely in the dead of night, you can hear faint footsteps echoing through the corridors, or the distant whisper of voices speaking in a language long forgotten. Among the most chilling legends is that of the spectral woman. She is said to appear in a long, dark gown, wandering the halls with her face obscured, her presence marked by an overwhelming sense of sorrow. Witnesses describe feeling a sudden chill when she is near, as though the very air around them has thickened. Some have reported hearing her crying softly in the corners of rooms, only to find no one there when they investigate. The chateau's rooms are reportedly imbued with unusual energy. Guests often feel watched, and some even claim to have experienced sensations of being touched by unseen hands. Photographs taken inside the chateau frequently show orbs, misty shapes, or unexplained shadows that cannot be accounted for. Paranormal investigators who have spent nights within Fougeray have recorded disembodied voices, movement on cameras when no one was present, and sudden drops in temperature that defy explanation. Even the grounds surrounding Fougeray are said to be haunted. The gardens, once meticulously maintained, are now overgrown, and visitors walking among the old stone pathways report glimpses of figures disappearing behind the trees. Some speak of hearing the sound of galloping horses or the echo of laughter carried on the wind, though the chateau has long been without livestock or guests capable of producing such sounds. A particularly unsettling tale involves a guest who stayed overnight in one of the chateau's largest rooms. Around midnight, she awoke to the sound of footsteps pacing the floor. When she called out, there was no reply, but the footsteps continued. Terrified, she hid beneath the covers, only to feel a hand brush against her shoulder. When morning came, the room appeared undisturbed and nothing was out of place. She left the chateau immediately and never returned. Château de Fougeray has also become known for its paranormal investigations. Researchers have attempted to document the phenomena with audio and video equipment. Many claim that recording devices frequently fail, batteries drain unexpectedly, and electronic equipment behaves unpredictably, suggesting that the activity is not only supernatural, but extremely strong. Those who attempt to challenge the spirits often report an immediate escalation in strange occurrences. Legends suggest that the chateau's ghosts are tied to unresolved tragedies. The noble families who once lived there endured heartbreak, betrayal, and violence, and the servants experienced suffering in silence. Every room, every corridor, and every stone seems to hold a fragment of that past. It is as if the chateau itself has memory, preserving the anguish and unrest of those who came before. Visitors who are drawn to Fougeray describe it as both fascinating and deeply unsettling. There is an undeniable sense of history within its walls, but that history comes with a price. The air feels heavy, shadows seem to move with a life of their own, and the very atmosphere warns that the past is never truly gone. Some who enter report dreams haunted by the chateau, seeing ghostly figures, or feeling the sorrow of the spirits linger long after they have left. Despite its eerie reputation, Château de Fougeray remains open to those brave enough to explore it. Night tours attract thrill seekers, ghost hunters, and those curious about the supernatural, but all are warned. The chateau does not easily let go of those who enter, and the spirits within may follow, observing silently until you leave its grounds. Château de Fougeray is more than just a haunted house. It is a living relic of the past, a place where sorrow, anger, and restless spirits intermingle with the present. Its walls speak in whispers, its corridors echo with the unseen, and its gardens conceal shadows that will not let go. Anyone who visits must respect the history, tread lightly, and prepare to feel that they are never truly alone. Those who have dared to stay overnight often say that the chateau's energy is unmistakable. They feel watched, hear unexplainable noises, and sense presences in empty rooms. Even when the sun rises, leaving the chateau illuminated in gentle light, the memory of the night's disturbances lingers. It is a place that demands attention, that reminds visitors that the past is never fully dead, and that some stories are better left undisturbed. For anyone who wishes to experience Château de Brissac, it is not enough to simply visit. You must come prepared for the strange, the unsettling, and the inexplicable. Its legends are alive, its ghosts persistent, and its atmosphere heavy with centuries of untold stories. And if you are lucky or unlucky enough to hear the soft weeping of the spectral woman, or feel the brush of a shadow in the hallway, you will know that Château de Brissac is more than a building. It is a doorway into a world where the living and the dead exist side by side, and where the stories of the past continue to haunt the present. Number 10. The Palace of Fontainebleau, Fontainebleau. The Palace of Fontainebleau is one of France's most majestic and historically significant royal residences. Nestled in the heart of the forested town of Fontainebleau, it has been home to French monarchs for centuries, from François I to Napoleon Bonaparte. Its lavish halls, ornate frescoes, and sprawling gardens are celebrated by tourists from around the world. Yet beneath its grandeur lies a history filled with intrigue, betrayal, and death, and many claim that the palace is haunted by the spirits of those who never truly left. Visitors to Fontainebleau often remark on its elegance, but those who linger after dark speak of a different reality. Some report hearing footsteps echoing through the long galleries when no one is present. Others say that paintings seem to follow them, with eyes that glint unnaturally in dim light. There are whispers of a ghostly figure appearing at the end of certain hallways, dressed in the ornate clothing of the 17th century, who vanishes as soon as one approaches. One of the most persistent legends concerns the ghost of a young servant girl. She is said to have been wronged by a noble family member, suffering greatly within the palace walls before her untimely death. Witnesses claim to see a pale figure roaming the corridors at night, her expression frozen in sorrow and anger. The temperature drops suddenly in certain wings of the palace, and visitors often report the feeling of being watched, a presence that follows them silently as they move from room to room. Napoleon's influence on Fontainebleau also contributes to its haunted reputation. He often held court and made major decisions within the palace, but his reign was marked by turmoil, exile, and personal tragedy. Some believe that his presence lingers, a spectral echo of ambition and loss. Ghost hunters have reported hearing whispers in French, seemingly giving orders or issuing warnings, and faint footsteps on grand staircases where no one else is present. The palace gardens, although breathtaking during the day, are said to be a place where shadows move unnaturally at night. Visitors recount seeing fleeting figures among the fountains and statues, shadows that disappear as soon as they are noticed. Some have described hearing the laughter of children, thought to be the spirits of those who once played in the royal gardens, but whose lives were cut short. Rooms that were once used for royal ceremonies carry their own eerie stories. There are accounts of chairs moving on their own, chandeliers swaying when no breeze is present, and doors opening or closing without explanation. Tour guides occasionally share whispered tales of guests feeling an unseen hand brush their shoulder, or of catching a glimpse of a nobleman in historic attire, watching them silently before vanishing into the shadows. Fontainebleau is also linked to darker episodes of French history. Executions, betrayals, and political machinations occurred within its walls, leaving emotional residues that some believe persist to this day. Those sensitive to paranormal activity often report feelings of unease or sudden chills in areas associated with these events. Photographs taken at night sometimes reveal faint silhouettes, orbs, or streaks of mist that cannot be explained by natural causes. A particularly chilling story involves a hidden corridor used during royal intrigues. Visitors who stumble upon this passage at night have reported hearing whispers of plotting, shadows moving along the walls, and a sense of being followed by invisible figures. Those who linger too long often feel a sudden pressure, as if the palace itself is aware of their presence and is warning them to leave. The palace's chapel is another hotspot for strange occurrences. At times, guests hear the faint sound of choirs singing or organ music that seems to emanate from nowhere. Some have reported seeing figures kneeling in prayer that vanish when approached. Even the statues of saints have been described as moving slightly, their eyes seemingly following visitors as they navigate the sacred space. Despite its haunting reputation, the Palace of Fontainebleau continues to attract historians, tourists, and thrill seekers. Many visit during the day to admire its art, architecture, and gardens, but those who explore after hours often find themselves in an entirely different world. The air grows colder, shadows lengthen, and the presence of spirits becomes palpable. Some visitors claim that the palace watches them, reminding them that the history within its walls is alive and that the spirits of the past are never far away. Fontainebleau stands as a testament to France's rich history, yet its beauty cannot hide the echoes of sorrow and unrest that linger within. From ghostly servants to spectral nobles and unexplained sounds in empty corridors, the palace serves as a reminder that the past can never be fully contained. Those who dare to walk its halls after dark do so with caution, aware that the spirits of Fontainebleau are always observing, waiting, and whispering their secrets to anyone who will listen. Visitors who are drawn to the palace's haunted side must remember to tread carefully. The high stories, the chills, and the shadows are not just tales, but experiences reported by countless witnesses over the years. The Palace of Fontainebleau is a place where the line between history and the supernatural blurs, where the grandeur of the past collides with the lingering presence of those who cannot rest, and where every step may bring you closer to the unseen. If you ever find yourself in Fontainebleau, dare to explore its halls and gardens, but do so with respect. Listen carefully as the wind brushes through the corridors. Watch the shadows that move just beyond your vision. And remember, the spirits of the palace are always near, silent observers of the living, reminding you that in some places, history never truly dies. Number 11. Château de Puy-Martin, Dordogne. Perched atop a rocky hill in the Dordogne region, Château de Puy-Martin is a striking example of medieval architecture, complete with high towers, narrow windows, and stone walls that have witnessed centuries of human drama. By day, it is a breathtaking historic site, but as night falls, the chateau takes on an entirely different character. The shadows lengthen, the wind whispers through the towers, and the past seems to stir with a life of its own. Puy-Martin is infamous for its dark history, most notably the tale of the Marquise de Puy-Martin. She is said to have imprisoned her husband's mistress in a hidden chamber, leaving her to languish for years. According to legend, the woman died alone in the darkness, and her spirit has haunted the chateau ever since. Visitors report seeing a pale figure in the corridors, her face twisted in sorrow, or catching glimpses of a shadow moving through the rooms when no one is there. The chateau's dungeons and hidden passageways are particularly chilling. Those who have explored these areas at night describe an overwhelming feeling of unease, sudden drops in temperature, and whispers that seem to come from the walls themselves. Some claim to have felt an invisible hand brush against their shoulders, or a presence following them through the narrow corridors. Photographs taken inside often reveal unexplained shadows or misty forms that cannot be attributed to light or camera flaws. Local lore tells of other spirits as well. Knights who defended the chateau in past battles are said to patrol the grounds at night, their armor clanking faintly and their spectral silhouettes appearing on the towers. Guests and visitors walking the chateau's grounds after sunset have reported hearing distant footsteps, the sound of chains, or even soft laughter echoing across empty halls. The combination of centuries-old stone, hidden rooms, and tragic stories seems to have created a powerful residual energy that makes Puy-Martin one of the most haunted sites in France. The interior rooms of the chateau also hold chilling phenomena. In the grand halls, chandeliers sway without cause, portraits appear to watch visitors, and doors open or close on their own. In some of the smaller chambers, witnesses report hearing whispers in French, soft but urgent, as if the spirits are trying to communicate or warn intruders. Some even speak of fleeting glimpses of figures in period clothing, appearing just long enough to be noticed before vanishing. Puy-Martin's exterior is equally haunting after dark. The castle is surrounded by thick forests, and on moonless nights, the shadows seem to stretch unnaturally, making the chateau appear even more imposing. Those walking along the perimeter report seeing ghostly figures among the trees, lights flickering in windows with no one inside, and a palpable sense of being watched. The wind carries voices and sighs that seem to come from nowhere, and the silence is broken only by occasional creaks of the ancient structure settling into the night. The Marquise de Puy-Martin's legend remains central to the haunting, but the chateau's centuries of human activity have created a tapestry of restless spirits. From servants who worked tirelessly within the stone walls, to soldiers who fought and died, defending the property, many souls are said to linger, creating an atmosphere thick with tension and mystery. Paranormal investigators have documented unexplained noises, sudden temperature drops, and electronic equipment malfunctions, all suggesting that the chateau's supernatural activity is very real. Visitors who explore Château de Puy-Martin often leave with a sense of awe mixed with unease. The beauty of the architecture cannot overshadow the oppressive feeling that something unseen is always present. Even in daylight, some report a sensation of being watched, shadows that seem to move slightly, and a general sense that the past has not entirely released its hold on the present. The chateau's legends have made it a popular site for ghost tours and paranormal enthusiasts. Tour guides recount stories of the Marquise, the imprisoned mistress, and knights patrolling the grounds, encouraging visitors to remain respectful and cautious. Those who linger too long or ignore the warnings often claim to experience sudden chills, disembodied footsteps, or fleeting figures appearing in their peripheral vision. Puy-Martin is not merely a haunted location. It is a repository of centuries of human emotion. Love, jealousy, anger, and sorrow have all left their mark on the chateau, creating an environment where the line between the living and the dead is thin. Its stones, corridors, and towers hold memories of the past that are not easily forgotten, and those who enter often feel the weight of history pressing against them. To experience Château de Puy-Martin is to step into a world where legends walk alongside reality. Its haunted reputation is well-earned, with countless reports from visitors, researchers, and paranormal enthusiasts attesting to the lingering spirits and unexplainable phenomena. Whether you are drawn by curiosity or by a fascination with the supernatural, Puy-Martin offers an experience that is equal parts history, mystery, and fear. Anyone who dares to visit should prepare for an encounter with the past. The spirits of Puy-Martin are patient and observant, watching from the shadows and waiting for the living to acknowledge their presence. Whether it is a soft whisper in a hallway, a fleeting figure in a chamber, or the cold touch of unseen hands, the chateau will leave a lasting impression on anyone who enters its ancient walls. Château de Puy-Martin stands as one of France's most haunting castles, a testament to the enduring presence of the past. Its stories of betrayal, imprisonment, and restless spirits ensure that it is not merely a historic site, but a place where the supernatural remains vividly alive. Those who step inside must be prepared to witness a world where the dead are never far away, and where the legends of the chateau continue to haunt all who dare to enter. Number 12. Montmorency Forest, near Paris. Montmorency Forest, just outside Paris, appears at first glance as a serene and expansive woodland, offering trails, streams, and centuries-old trees that stretch toward the sky. By day, it is a peaceful retreat from the city, filled with birdsong and rustling leaves. But as dusk falls and shadows lengthen among the trunks, the forest takes on a far darker character. Locals and travelers alike claim that Montmorency Forest harbors restless spirits and unexplainable phenomena that make it one of the most unsettling haunted sites near Paris. Legends surrounding the forest are numerous and chilling. It is said that centuries ago, executions and brutal punishments took place within its depths, leaving a lingering aura of sorrow and anger. Those who have ventured in after dark report an eerie sensation of being watched, sudden chills, and the feeling of invisible presences following their every step. Some hikers recount hearing whispering voices that seem to come from nowhere, calling their names or repeating cryptic messages in French that vanish when approached. The forest is notorious for shadowy figures. Visitors often describe seeing fleeting silhouettes darting between trees, only to disappear the moment they try to focus on them. Some believe these are spirits of the wrongfully executed or lost souls who wandered into the forest centuries ago and never returned. Others suggest that the apparitions are protective entities, warning those who enter of the forest's dark history and the secrets hidden within. One of the most unsettling stories involves a small clearing in the forest where travelers have experienced sudden temperature drops and the overwhelming sensation of dread. Witnesses speak of hearing footsteps circling them when they are completely alone, the sound of branches snapping, and even glimpses of ghostly figures standing silently at the edge of the clearing. A few have claimed that a shadowy woman in tattered clothing appeared to them, her eyes dark and hollow, before vanishing into the trees. Montmorency Forest is also known for inexplicable sounds. Some visitors hear chains dragging along the forest floor, distant cries for help, and eerie laughter echoing across the woods. Others report catching the faint smell of smoke or burning wood, though no fires or sources are ever found. The forest's thick canopy and twisting paths amplify these sounds, creating an atmosphere that is at once confusing and terrifying. Paranormal investigators are drawn to Montmorency Forest because of its intense energy. Equipment often malfunctions inexplicably. Audio devices capture faint voices or whispers, and thermal cameras record sudden cold spots moving through the trees. Those who stay for extended periods often report feelings of unease, nausea, or the sensation of being touched by invisible hands. Many believe the forest is a nexus for supernatural activity, a place where the veil between the living and the dead is thin. Despite its haunting reputation, Montmorency Forest continues to attract visitors, some out of curiosity and others seeking thrills. Nighttime excursions are often ill-advised, yet thrill seekers describe the adrenaline rush of wandering the trails after dark, listening for sounds, and trying to catch glimpses of ghostly figures. They warn, however, that the forest demands respect. It is easy to become disoriented among its twisted paths, and the oppressive energy of the haunted woods can weigh heavily on the mind and body. Local stories also speak of sudden disappearances. Travelers who wandered too deep into the forest after sunset sometimes fail to return for hours, only to emerge shaken and unwilling to speak of what they experienced. Some claim they saw visions of the past replayed among the trees, apparitions of people in old clothing, abandoned encampments, and fleeting images of violence and sorrow. Others recount meeting a figure that guides or chases them until they escape the forest's depths, though such encounters are always fleeting and inexplicable. Montmorency Forest's haunting is not limited to visual phenomena. Many visitors describe feelings of sadness and fear that arise for no reason, a heaviness in the air that presses on the chest. It is as if the spirits of those who suffered or died within the forest remain tethered to it, replaying their final moments over and over. Even seasoned hikers and paranormal experts often leave with a sense of awe and dread, knowing they have brushed against something beyond comprehension. The forest remains a blend of natural beauty and supernatural terror. Sunlight streaming through the canopy can illuminate the paths in a breathtaking manner, yet every shadow seems to harbor a secret. Visitors are advised to tread carefully, respect the history, and remain aware of the energy that lingers. Montmorency Forest is a place where curiosity meets fear, where the living encounter echoes of the past, and where the line between reality and legend is never clear. Those who venture into Montmorency Forest often leave with stories that will haunt them as much as the forest haunts its visitors. Whether it is the feeling of being followed, sudden sounds in the darkness, or fleeting glimpses of ghostly figures, the forest is alive with the energy of the past. Its reputation as a haunted location is well earned, and it serves as a chilling reminder that even the most serene landscapes can conceal dark and restless histories. Anyone visiting Montmorency Forest must prepare for the unexpected. Keep your senses alert, watch the shadows, and listen closely to the wind moving through the trees. The spirits of the forest are patient, observant, and persistent. Once you have experienced its haunting energy, you may find that Montmorency Forest is not simply a place to explore, but a place that explores you, leaving a lasting impression that lingers long after you leave. Number 13. Château de Vos, Allier. Château de Vos, located in the heart of Allier, stands as one of France's most enigmatic and haunted castles. Its tall stone walls, fortified towers, and imposing structure are impressive by day. But by night, the chateau transforms into a place of unease and mystery. For centuries, locals have whispered stories about strange occurrences, ghostly apparitions, and restless spirits roaming its halls, making it a magnet for paranormal enthusiasts and thrill-seekers alike. The chateau's history stretches back to the medieval period, when it was a fortress and noble residence. Generations of lords and their families lived within its walls, experiencing both grandeur and tragedy. Tales of betrayal, imprisonment, and untimely deaths have persisted through the centuries, contributing to the belief that the spirits of the past linger, unable or unwilling to leave. Visitors claim that the energy of these centuries-old events has imprinted itself on the chateau, creating a powerful and often unsettling presence. One of the most famous legends involves the ghost of a former lady of the house. She is said to wander the corridors in her traditional gown, her face pale and sorrowful. Witnesses describe sudden chills when she is nearby, and some have reported hearing her soft cries echoing through the empty halls. The presence is often accompanied by inexplicable noises, doors opening and closing, footsteps on staircases where no one is present, and whispers in the dark that seem to call out warnings or secrets. Beyond the main halls, the chateau's towers and upper rooms hold their own mysteries. Shadows move independently of the light, and some visitors claim to have glimpsed figures standing silently at windows, watching them without moving. Paranormal investigators have recorded unusual activity in these areas, including temperature drops, electronic malfunctions, and faint audio recordings of voices speaking in French. These experiences have reinforced the Chateau's reputation as one of the most haunted in the region. The grounds surrounding Château de Vos also contribute to its eerie aura. Its gardens, courtyards, and forests are filled with twisted paths, hidden corners, and centuries-old trees that seem to whisper with the wind. At night, travelers report feeling followed, hearing footsteps that do not match their own, and seeing fleeting glimpses of figures moving among the shadows. Some claim to have witnessed ghostly lights flickering in the upper windows, though no one is inside, and misty forms drifting across the grounds. A particularly chilling account comes from a visitor who spent the night inside the chateau. Around midnight, she awoke to the sound of someone pacing the hall outside her room. When she cautiously opened the door, the corridor appeared empty, yet the footsteps continued. Panicked, she returned to her bed, only to feel a cold hand brush her arm. By morning, all evidence of any intruder was gone, yet she left the chateau with an unmistakable sense of having been watched and touched by the unseen. Château de Vos's haunting is not limited to visual or tactile phenomena. Visitors frequently describe a pervasive sense of sadness, as if the chateau itself is mourning the tragedies that occurred within its walls. Some claim to hear weeping or moaning in areas that are otherwise silent, and many report feelings of dread that intensify as night falls. Paranormal researchers suggest that these sensations may be residual energy from the chateau's past inhabitants, echoing the fear, sorrow, and anger that once filled the rooms. The chateau's reputation has made it a destination for ghost hunters and history enthusiasts alike. Many tours and overnight experiences are conducted with caution, emphasizing respect for both the building and its spirits. Those who have spent extended periods within Château de Vos consistently report heightened activity, including the sensation of being observed, mysterious cold spots, sudden noises, and occasional glimpses of shadowy figures that vanish when approached. Even during the day, the castle exudes an unsettling energy. Visitors often report feeling uneasy while walking through the corridors or standing beneath its towers. Some describe fleeting impressions of movement in their peripheral vision, the sense of being followed, or subtle changes in air pressure as they move through certain rooms. The chateau's architecture, with its high ceilings, narrow passageways, and heavy stone walls, seems to amplify these sensations, creating an atmosphere where the past feels ever-present. Château de Vos stands as a living testament to the power of history, memory, and the supernatural. Its walls have witnessed centuries of human emotion, and many of those who suffered, loved, or died within them are believed to remain tethered to the site. From the sorrowful lady of the house to the whispers of unseen servants and the shadows that haunt the towers, the chateau is a place where the past refuses to remain silent. Anyone who dares to explore Château de Vos should do so with caution and respect. The legends, the shadows, and the whispers are not mere stories. They are experiences reported by countless visitors over time. Whether it is the brush of an unseen hand, a shadow that disappears at the edge of vision, or the faint sound of voices in the darkness, the chateau ensures that its history is always present, watching, and unforgettable. Château de Vos is more than a historic building. It is a portal to the past, a place where the living and the dead coexist, and a reminder that some stories never end. Those who step through its doors enter a world of mystery, suspense, and lingering spirits, leaving with memories that will haunt them long after they leave the castle grounds. Number 14. Abbaye de Mortemer, Normandy. Abbaye de Mortemer, located in the heart of Normandy, is one of France's most chilling and mysterious haunted sites. Founded in the 12th century, this Cistercian abbey has long been shrouded in legend, tragedy, and tales of restless spirits that linger among its crumbling walls. By day, the abbey's stone arches, weathered cloisters, and ivy-clad walls offer a haunting beauty. But at night, it transforms into a place of eerie stillness and supernatural terror. The abbey's dark reputation stems from centuries of grim history. Mortemer was once a powerful religious site, but it also witnessed violence, imprisonment, and despair. One of the most infamous stories involves a young nun who was reportedly buried alive within the abbey walls for reasons that remain unclear. Her cries are said to echo through the ruins at night, chilling visitors who wander the corridors after dusk. Many who have explored the abbey report feeling a cold presence, as if unseen eyes are following their every move. Visitors often describe strange phenomena when walking through the abbey. Shadows appear and disappear at the edge of vision. Doors creak open by themselves, and the air sometimes carries whispers in an old French dialect. Some people claim to have seen figures in monastic robes moving silently through the cloisters, vanishing when approached. The abbey's chapel, although long abandoned, is said to be a hotspot for paranormal activity. Echoes of chants, ghostly footsteps, and unexplained cold gusts have been reported frequently. The abbey grounds also contribute to its haunting. The surrounding forested areas are filled with narrow paths and overgrown gardens where light barely penetrates. Visitors recount seeing fleeting figures among the trees or lights that appear and vanish without explanation. On foggy nights, the abbey takes on a surreal, almost otherworldly appearance, with shadows stretching across the grounds and the sounds of whispers carried by the wind. Paranormal investigators have been drawn to Abbaye de Mortemer for decades. Many have documented unexplained sounds, electronic equipment malfunctions, and sudden drops in temperature in certain areas of the abbey. Some claim to have captured ghostly apparitions on film, often appearing near windows, staircases, or along the cloisters where tragic events occurred centuries ago. The abbey's lingering energy is believed to be a residual imprint of the pain, suffering, and secrets that unfolded within its walls. One of the most chilling experiences reported by visitors is the sensation of being touched or guided by unseen hands. People walking alone in the ruins have described feeling a cold brush against their shoulder or a pressure on their back, as if being watched or warned to leave. Many exit the abbey shaken, convinced that the spirits of Mortimer are still very much present and aware of intruders. Abbaye de Mortimer is also associated with more obscure phenomena. Some visitors have reported sudden flashes of light, objects moving on their own, and an inexplicable sense of heaviness in certain rooms. These occurrences are said to be more pronounced at night, when the abbey is quiet and the shadows dominate the stone halls. Ghost hunters often emphasize the importance of caution and respect when exploring, as the abbey's spirits are believed to be sensitive to intrusions. Despite the fear it evokes, the abbey remains a fascinating destination for those intrigued by history and the paranormal. Its centuries-old walls tell stories of devotion, betrayal, and tragedy, and its supernatural presence ensures that those stories are not forgotten. Visitors who explore Abbaye de Mortimer often leave with a sense of awe mixed with fear, a reminder that the past is never truly gone and that some spirits linger long after their lives have ended. Whether it is the soft echoes of chants, fleeting shadows in the corridors, or cold drafts in empty rooms, the abbey holds an undeniable connection to the supernatural. Its haunted reputation is well earned, making it one of Normandy's most compelling destinations for thrill seekers, ghost hunters, and curious travelers who dare to experience its mysteries. Anyone venturing to Abbaye de Mortimer should be prepared for a chilling encounter. The spirits of the abbey are patient, silent, and observant. The ruins demand respect and caution, and those who ignore the warnings often find themselves confronted by the unseen. For those who seek both history and horror, Mortimer offers a uniquely terrifying experience, a place where the echoes of the past continue to haunt the present. Number 15. Château de Bonneval, Limousin. Château de Bonneval, located in the Limousin region of France, is renowned for its haunting beauty and spine-chilling legends. With its soaring towers, stone walls, and labyrinthine corridors, the chateau presents a picture of historic grandeur by day, but by night, it becomes a place of unsettling mystery. Visitors and locals alike recount stories of restless spirits, eerie sounds, and ghostly apparitions that make Bonneval one of France's most haunted castles. The chateau's dark history spans several centuries, during which it served as a noble residence and fortress. Tragedy and intrigue have left an indelible mark on the castle, and many believe the energy of past events continues to linger within its walls. One of the most famous legends involves the ghost of a former resident who was betrayed and murdered within the chateau. Witnesses claim to see a shadowy figure wandering the halls, often appearing at windows or near staircases, vanishing when approached. Visitors frequently report strange phenomena throughout the chateau. Cold spots are common, even in warm weather, and unexplained noises echo through the empty corridors. Doors open and close by themselves, footsteps sound along staircases where no one is present, and objects have been reported moving on their own. Some have described hearing whispers in French, faint and urgent, as if the spirits are trying to communicate warnings or share secrets from the past. Bonneval's towers and upper rooms are particularly notorious for supernatural activity. People exploring these areas have claimed to see fleeting figures dressed in period clothing, shadows that do not correspond to any living person, and glimpses of faces peering from the darkness. Paranormal investigators have recorded sudden drops in temperature, malfunctioning equipment, and strange visual anomalies on cameras, all pointing to the strong presence of the supernatural within the chateau. The grounds of Château de Bonneval are equally haunting. Its gardens, courtyards, and surrounding forests are filled with narrow paths and dense foliage that create an atmosphere of isolation and suspense. At night, visitors report feeling watched, hearing footsteps behind them, or catching glimpses of ghostly figures moving between the trees. Misty lights have been seen flickering near the towers, and shadowy shapes appear along the walls, vanishing as quickly as they emerge. Some of the most chilling encounters involve unexplained touches or sensations. Guests exploring the chateau alone have felt invisible hands brushing their arms or shoulders, sudden chills, and a pervasive feeling of unease. Many report an overwhelming presence in certain rooms, as if the spirits of former residents are observing them, silently reminding visitors that Bonneval is a place where the past is never truly gone. The chateau's reputation has made it a destination for ghost hunters and those fascinated by the paranormal. Overnight stays are said to heighten the experience, with many reporting more intense activity after sunset. Witnesses recount hearing disembodied voices, experiencing sudden drops in temperature, and observing shadowy figures in corridors and towers. Photographs and videos often capture strange anomalies that defy logical explanation, reinforcing Bonneval's status as a hotspot for supernatural activity. Even during daylight hours, the castle evokes a sense of mystery and unease. Its towering walls, narrow corridors, and ancient stone floors seem to carry the weight of centuries of human emotion. Visitors frequently experience an intangible feeling of being observed, fleeting glimpses of movement in their peripheral vision, and an uncanny awareness of the castle's haunted history. Château de Bonneval's haunting is a mixture of visual, auditory, and emotional phenomena. From the ghostly figure in the halls, to whispers in empty rooms, sudden cold spots, and mysterious lights, the chateau is alive with the energy of its past. Its legends have been passed down through generations, ensuring that the stories of betrayal, tragedy, and restless spirits continue to captivate and terrify. Anyone daring to visit Château de Bonneval should be prepared for encounters with the unknown. Respect and caution are essential, as the spirits of the castle are vigilant and persistent. From shadowy figures in the towers to whispers in the corridors, Bonneval leaves a lasting impression on all who enter, making it not just a historic site, but a place where the supernatural remains vividly alive. Château de Bonneval stands as the final entry in France's top haunted locations, a testament to the enduring presence of history and the unexplained. Its combination of medieval architecture, tragic history, and paranormal activity ensures that it will continue to attract visitors seeking both the beauty of the past and the thrill of the unknown. Those who step inside its walls enter a realm where the echoes of the past are never silent, and the spirits of Bonneval ensure that its haunting legacy endures for generations to come. Exploring the haunted sites of France offers more than a glimpse into history. It immerses you in the lingering energy of centuries past. From towering castles to shadow-filled abbeys, from ancient forests to hidden courtyards, each location carries stories of love, betrayal, tragedy, and mystery. As you walk the corridors, tread the gardens, or wander the forested paths, you are not merely observing architecture or landscapes. You are stepping into the echoes of lives that have passed, into the presence of those who remain tethered to the world they once knew. The chills you feel, The fleeting glimpses in the corner of your eye, the sudden cold spots, and the faint whispers are all reminders that some experiences transcend the limits of time and logic. Visiting these haunted places requires both curiosity and respect. Each site has its own unique energy, shaped by the people who lived, loved, suffered, and died there. Whether it is the sorrowful lady in Château de Vos, the whispered chants of Abbé de Mortemer, or the shadowy figures at Château de Bonneval, these spirits are witnesses of their past, and they interact with the present in ways that are often subtle but unmistakable. By approaching these places with reverence and mindfulness, you not only ensure your own safety, but also honor the histories that created the hauntings you seek to experience. For those who dare to venture into these haunted landscapes, preparation is key. Bring a camera, a flashlight, and a sense of awareness, but also bring patience and humility. Listen to the stories passed down through generations, study the history, and allow yourself to feel the atmosphere. It is often in quiet observation that the most profound encounters occur. Pay attention to sounds that seem out of place, shadows that move against the flow of light, and sensations that cannot be easily explained. Each detail, no matter how small, adds to the depth of the experience and the connection to the past. Explorers of haunted sites often find that these visits leave lasting impressions. The energy of the locations can be powerful, evoking feelings of awe, fear, or wonder that linger long after leaving. You may notice small changes in your perception of space and time, subtle shifts in temperature, or a heightened awareness of sounds and movements around you. These are not just physical experiences. They are encounters with the intangible layers of history and spirit that make these places extraordinary. Sharing your experiences is also an important part of the journey. Documenting your visit through notes, photography, or recordings allows you to preserve your encounters and share them with others who are curious or fascinated by the paranormal. It also contributes to the ongoing legacy of these haunted sites, keeping the stories alive and giving new life to the spirits whose presence has persisted for centuries. Engaging with these narratives, discussing your observations, and listening to the accounts of others adds richness to the exploration and deepens your understanding of both the human and supernatural histories involved. As you prepare to visit haunted places, remember to respect the boundaries of the location. Many of these sites are protected due to their historical significance or safety concerns, and wandering into restricted areas can be dangerous. Observing rules, following guides, and maintaining awareness of your surroundings ensures a safe and meaningful experience. It is through careful and respectful exploration that you can truly connect with the energy of these haunted sites without causing harm to yourself, the location, or the spirits that reside there. The allure of haunted places lies not only in the thrill or fear, but also in the connection to stories that have survived for centuries. Each shadow, whisper, and chill is a fragment of history speaking across time. Visiting these locations allows you to step into that narrative, to feel the weight of the past and the presence of those who have left their mark. By engaging with these spaces thoughtfully, you honor both the human and supernatural elements that make them compelling. For anyone seeking adventure, knowledge, or a brush with the unknown, France's haunted sites provide an unparalleled experience. They challenge your perceptions, ignite your curiosity, and allow you to explore the interplay between history and the supernatural. As you walk through the corridors of castles, along the stone paths of abbeys, or beneath the ancient trees of haunted forests, remember that every sound, every movement, and every sensation may be a conversation with the past. Approach it with courage, respect, and an open mind, and the experience will stay with you forever. Finally, if you are ready to embrace the unknown, to witness the echoes of history, and to step into places where the living and the spirits meet, consider planning your visit to these haunted locations. Document your experiences, share your stories, and allow the history to come alive through your perspective. Remember that the thrill is not only in fear, but in understanding the depth of the past and the presence of what remains. These sites are waiting for the curious, the brave, and the respectful. Take your first steps, prepare for what you may encounter, and let the haunted history of France reveal itself to you in ways both terrifying and unforgettable. Embrace the shadows, listen to the whispers, and let your journey into France's haunted past begin. Every castle, abbey, and forest holds a story, and every story has a spirit waiting to be discovered. Respect the history, approach with courage, and leave with memories that will haunt you long after you depart. France's haunted sites are ready for those who dare to experience them, offering a journey through mystery, history, and the supernatural unlike any other.